So here's the thing. You might say, hey, we need to stop the spending spree and shutting down the government is a wake-up call. But let me toss this back. What's actually more responsible? Risking a shutdown that could ripple through the economy and hurt everyday people? Or actually making sure we pay the bills we've already whacked up? Let's keep the lights on and then tackle the spending reforms. So tell me, why push for a shutdown when we can handle this without the drama?
Alright, I hear ya. You want to keep the lights on and pay those bills. Sure, that sounds nice on paper. But let me flip that around. What's actually the bigger drama here? It's the endless cycle of just bumping up the debt ceiling and kicking the can down the road, pretending the bill will never come due in a real way. In other words, a shutdown isn't just drama for the sake of drama. It's like an intervention. If we don't put our foot down at some point and say, hey, we need to stop running up the national credit card, then when are we ever going to do it? So yeah, it might ripple through the economy a bit, but sometimes you need that wake-up call to get real reforms. Let me ask you this. How many more times should we raise the limit before we actually solve the underlying spending issues?
There we go, right to the heart of it. You're saying the real drama is the long-term cycle, and I get that, but here's the punchline. If we treat the economy like a game of chicken, shut it all down to make a point, regular folks pay the price long before politicians feel the pinch. We can absolutely talk about fixing spending, but not by holding the entire economy hostage. It's like saying you'll stop a leaky faucet by turning off water to the whole house instead of just fixing the pipe. So let's raise the limit to keep things stable, and then push for those reforms. My question back to you is, why not fix the roof while the sun is still shining, instead of during the storm?
Alright, fair analogy. Fix the roof while the sun is shining. But here's my counter. The problem is, the sun never really shines in Washington. Because there's never a good time to tackle these issues. Every time we kick this down the road, we say, oh, we'll fix it next time. But next time never comes, because there's always another reason to just raise the ceiling and move on. So yeah, it's a game of chicken, but maybe that's exactly the point. If politicians never feel the pinch, they never fix the pipe. And if the only way to get them to fix it is to shut off the water for a minute, then maybe that's the tough love we need. So let me ask you this, how do you actually get politicians to act on spending if there's never any real consequence for their endless borrowing?
You got a sharp point there, and I love that analogy about the sun never really shining in Washington. It's like we're stuck in a permanent cloudy forecast. I get it. But here's where I'd flip it back on you. If we cause a self-inflicted wound, like shutting things down, what we're really doing is making ordinary Americans the collateral damage. And let's be real. Politicians might feel a little pinch, but the folks who miss paychecks or lose services feel a lot more than a pinch. So yeah, it's tough love, but it's like performing surgery with a chainsaw instead of a scalpel. My take. Apply pressure in ways that don't wreck the whole house. You want to know how to get them to act? Make it a political cost if they don't reform, not an economic cost that hits everyone. So why not hold them accountable in a way that doesn't throw the whole economy into chaos?
Alright, I like the fire in that answer, and I get where you're coming from. You're basically saying, don't nuke the whole village just to catch the runaway spending. Fair enough, but here's my pushback. Every time we say we'll hold them accountable through normal political costs, it's like trying to swat a fly with a feather. Politicians are masters at dodging real accountability unless something drastic forces their hand. And sometimes, yeah, you gotta bring out the chainsaw to get them to wake up. Look, I'm not saying it's pretty. I'm saying that if we keep doing it the gentle way, we'll be right back here having this exact same conversation in a year or two. So my question for you, if not a shutdown, then what's the actual stick that's big enough to make them really change their spending habits, not just promise to do it next time?
And that's the $1 million or make $1 trillion question, right? I love that you're calling it like it is. Politicians can be slippery, and a feather swat doesn't always do the job. But here's my take. If we want a stick big enough to change spending habits, it's got to be a political one, not an economic grenade. For example, tie debt increases to enforceable budget targets, or automatic spending reviews. Make it clear that if they don't come to the table on reforms, like losing some perks or automatic pay raises, or even facing more aggressive voter backlash with transparency measures. Basically, you put their feet to the fire in a way that doesn't torch the whole economy. So yeah, I'm saying we can get creative. Use a scalpel, not a chainsaw to get them to feel the heat. And if we keep having this conversation year after year, maybe that's a sign we need smarter tools, not just bigger hammers. So tell me, why not try a more nuanced form of accountability that actually hits the policymakers where it hurts, without sending the whole country into a tailspin?
And there's the heart of our sparring match, right? You're all about the nuanced scalpel, and I'm saying sometimes you need the hammer just to get anyone's attention in the first place. But I do respect where you're coming from. You want to find a way that doesn't make ordinary folks the collateral damage. And hey, I'm not heartless. I get that. But my point is that unless there's a real immediate consequence, something that can't be pushed into the next election cycle, politicians just shrug off those political tools. So here's my wrap up to this round. Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe we try your scalpel ideas, but we keep the hammer in the toolbox as the last resort. And if we end up back in the same place, maybe that's when we agree it's time to swing it. In the meantime, let's see if we can get creative about accountability without blowing everything up first. Sound like a deal?
You know what? I'll take that as a solid middle ground for this round. We can call it a truce in our little sparring match. I mean, hey, you want the hammer as a backup plan, and I want us to try the scalpel first. Maybe that's the pragmatic approach we both can live with. We lean on the nuance tools and keep the big hammer in the shed unless there's truly no other way. So yeah, let's see if we can hold them accountable without blowing things up first, and if that fails, well, we revisit the tough love. Deal struck, and hey, thanks for the debate. It's been a fun little bout of verbal jousting.